Dillian Whyte wins a lopsided 10-round unanimous decision over Dave Allen to capture the vacant WBC International Heavyweight title. In all honesty, the fight wasn't really competitive. Dillian Whyte won pretty much every round, and the judges' scorecards reflected that reality. Dave Allen, if nothing else, proved what had been rumored about him from sparring and from numerous training camps that he's had with Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, etc. And that is that he's a very tough, durable man. He's apparently never been dropped in sparring hundreds of rounds with the likes of Joshua and Fury, Klitschko, etc. And you could see why here against Dillian Whyte, because he was able to take Whyte's punches, for example, far better than Anthony Joshua did. He was never remotely hurt by anything Whyte hit him with, and Whyte caught him with a lot of clean shots. As far as Whyte's performance, I thought there was more good than bad. I thought he showed good combination punching ability. I think he showed versatility. His fitness for me is still not where it needs to be, but he probably acknowledged that himself. I think he still needs to work on that. He wasn't getting hit with anything from Dave Allen. I mean, Allen's punch output was very, very poor. He just seemed like he couldn't get off. Some people have speculated that maybe he's just stuck in sparring partner mode, and that could very well be the case. So Whyte didn't really have much in front of him in terms of a guy putting him under pressure. Allen was walking forward, but like I say, he wasn't throwing anything. To really wear a guy down, as well as walking forward, you have to be throwing something. After the first 3-4 rounds, the way that Allen was coming forward with his high guard, constantly forcing Dillian Whyte to work, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe Allen's game plan can work, because Dillian Whyte is looking a little winded after the first, 3-4 rounds. That's what I was thinking. But the late charge that Allen promised and that I was kind of expecting after the first 3 or 4 rounds never materialized. He just boxed at the same pace for the entire fight, which was first gear. He really was stuck in first gear in this fight. And that allowed Whyte to just basically tee off almost at will. And it allowed Whyte to showcase a lot of his talents. And as I say, I was quite impressed with Whyte's combination punching ability, particularly the bolo punch that he kept throwing on Dave Allen over and over again. He'd throw that right hook to the body and follow it up with an uppercut to the head, Mike Tyson style. And he was throwing several other combinations. Whyte also boxed a couple of the rounds in this fight southpaw, which was interesting. I saw him on the pads in the lead up to this fight southpaw, and I was wondering if that was a contingency plan to preserve his left shoulder, which is the shoulder that is undergoing rehabilitation. I'm not sure that it was, because he reverted back to his orthodox stance for the majority of the fight, and I didn't detect any issue with that shoulder myself. He wasn't throwing that many jabs, it has to be said. He was throwing a few, but he wasn't really pumping the jab out hard like I have seen him in some previous fights. So maybe he's still not 100% confident in it, I don't know. But either way, he was throwing plenty of shots, plenty of hooks, plenty of uppercuts, all types of punches, tattooing Dave Allen. I've seen some people online say, oh, well, this proves that Dillian Whyte's power is overrated. I really can't understand when people say stuff like that. They say, somebody said that this fight and Dillian Whyte's last fight proved that his power is a bit overrated. How? Dave Allen's never been dropped in hundreds of rounds of sparring with Joshua, with Klitschko, with Fury. And so Dillian Whyte don't drop him either, and you say that Whyte's power is overrated? How does that work? Are you aware that Mike Tyson, one of the greatest punchers of all time, went the distance in his career? He went the distance with journeyman in his career, people. Mike Tyson, before he won the title, went the distance with James Tillis, a man who'd been knocked out before. A man who'd been down plenty of times in his career. Right, he went the distance with Mitch Green, a guy who had never been stopped before, but he wasn't a particularly good fighter. He was known for being tough, like Dave Allen is. So going the distance with a Dave Allen does not mean that, that Dillian Whyte can't punch. It just probably means Dave Allen or Dillian Whyte's power is overrated. It don't necessarily mean that. It's more likely to mean Dave Allen has what he's been rumored to have, and that is a very good chin. Simple. Some heavyweights have just got very good chins. Look at Marius Wack. Look at all the shots that Klitschko hit Marius Wack with and couldn't get him out of there. Does that mean that Klitschko's power is overrated? See, people need to, factor in their expectations into these fights, because not to have a go at the individuals who are saying that Whyte's power is overrated, but a couple of these individuals said that they expected Whyte to blow Allen out early. Why? Why did you expect him to blow Allen out early? Allen's never been down. He's been getting called back continuously to these sparring, to these training camps of these major fighters. You're not going to get that unless you're tough. So why did you expect Dillian Whyte to just go and blow him out? So it's not Whyte's power which you should be questioning here. I think it's more your expectations which you should be questioning. Why were you expecting that when this guy's got, at least in sparring, a proven track record of toughness? So it is what it is. I can imagine Anthony Joshua has knocked out a lot of guys in sparring, and yet sparred hundreds of rounds with Dave Allen, and he's never even dropped him, never even hurt him. Dave Allen's obviously got a very good chin. So that's my thoughts on it, people. Again, not to sound like I'm attacking anyone or anything like that. I respect people's opinions, but I'm just saying, I think it's a bit silly to jump to the conclusion that Dillian Whyte's power is overrated. I think Dillian Whyte hits very hard. He obviously hurt Joshua, and I'm sure he'll hurt a lot of other top fighters out there. I'm sure there's a lot of top heavyweights who wouldn't have been able to take the shots that Dave Allen was able to take and keep coming forward. So yeah, I thought Whyte got the rounds in that he needed. It's his first 10-rounder, and I think that's good for him. He was able to let his shots go and do his thing. Dave Allen, maybe he needs a new trainer. Obviously, he hasn't had long with Dominic Ingle and the Ingle team, but there was obviously a talent gap there. Dillian Whyte's obviously more talented than Dave Allen, at least from what we've seen so far in their careers. And there was a big experience gap. Dillian Whyte has got a lot more experience professionally than Dave Allen. So, Dave Allen mentally isn't quite there. And technically, he's obviously not there. So, and when I say isn't quite there, I don't mean Dave Allen's crazy. I just mean I don't think he's quite mature enough as a fighter mentally to get the best out of himself yet. And hopefully that will come, and hopefully he'll bring out some of the stuff he's been talking about he's doing in the gym into his actual fights. So yeah, maybe he just needs to spend longer with the Ingles. Maybe he needs to change trainer. I don't know what it is, but he did seem to have a serious case of the sparring partner mentality in this fight. I mean, at the very least, even if Dave Allen don't have the kind of talent Dillian Whyte has, you would want Dave Allen to let his hands go. But in this fight, he just wasn't letting his hands go. That was frustrating to watch, because at times, as I say, it did seem as though Dillian Whyte was kind of gassed, kind of lethargic looking. But Dave Allen just wasn't taking advantage of it. He was walking forward and throwing nothing. So, it is what it is. As far as Dillian Whyte, he'll go on, hopefully, to fight Derek Chisora later on this year. I would definitely be picking Dillian Whyte to beat Derek Chisora. We know Chisora's got a good engine, but I just feel like Dillian Whyte hits harder than Chisora. I think he's more talented. He's a better boxer. His punches are much more clean and correct. He's a better combination puncher. And I think Derek Chisora has seen better days. So I'll definitely be picking Dillian Whyte over Chisora in that fight. Will it be more competitive than the Allen fight? Definitely. But I still expect Dillian Whyte to win if that fight goes ahead this year. All right. And as far as beyond the Chisora fight, if that fight happens and Dillian Whyte wins, conditioning. And Dillian Whyte knows this himself. Conditioning is paramount for him. He needs to keep on improving that conditioning. He's not yet where he needs to be. It's improving. It was better than it was in the Joshua fight, but still not where it needs to be. Needs to keep on pushing and getting that conditioning right. I think skills-wise and ability, Dillian Whyte does have the skills and the ability to mix it at world level, but his conditioning is no way world level yet, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me know what you thought about this fight in the comment section below and the performances of both men. All right? It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.